Illegal immigrants are responsible for the housing crisis in the UK. Your children will not be able to get on the property ladder because of illegal immigration. Well, how true are these statements? Is illegal immigration really responsible for the housing crisis we find ourselves in? Let's look at the impact of illegal immigration on the housing market in the UK. It's estimated there are around 600,000 to 1.2 million illegal immigrants in the UK. So let's look at the housing market in the UK. Naturally, the UK has faced a shortage of homes for many years. But can we truly attribute this issue to illegal immigration? The UK has a backlog of around 1 million homes in order to meet the growing demand that this country has. As of 2024, the average house price in the UK is around £288,000 versus 2014, just 10 years ago, where it was £188,000. And the average rent for private renters in the UK in 2024 is about £1,300, in contrast with 10 years ago, where it was less than £700. These figures have been driven up due to a high demand and a lack of supply. But is this due to illegal immigration? One of the main arguments for illegal immigration, which you often hear if you turn on certain news channels, if you go on certain Facebook groups, the immigrants are taking our jobs, the immigrants are taking our housing. So it's a very, very popular conversation. One of the main arguments is that illegal immigration adds an additional demand on an already short supply. Let's look at the potential impact of illegal immigration on the housing supply in the UK and house prices. The UK's annual housing target is around 300,000 new homes, yet only about 240,000 of those homes were built in 2021. This shortfall is what contributes to this failing and crucial, destructive housing crisis that we currently have. When it comes down to house prices, the influence of illegal immigration is minimal. And this is something a lot of people don't speak about, and you'll get certain characters that like to inflame the situation and like to suggest that your children will not be able to get on a property ladder and buy their first home because of illegal immigrants. And this is untrue. Most undocumented immigrants, due to financial constraints and legal constraints, don't have access to the mortgage market. They don't have the capability to buy a property, which means they are unlikely to purchase homes. The majority of illegal immigrants tend to live in rental accommodation, often in the private sector. If we look at studies from people like MAC, which is the Migration Advisory Committee, or the Centre of Economic Performance at the London School of Economics, they suggest that the primary drivers of house prices includes factors such as income growth, interest rates, housing supply constraints. And this is really interesting. A 1% growth in the population can lead to at least a 1% increase in house prices. But the truth is, this takes into consideration population growth, not just immigration, and particularly not illegal immigration, which is just a smaller subset. Overall, look, the truth is this: the direct impact of illegal immigration on the house prices is likely negligible. Sometimes we need to sit down, look at the data, look at our biases, and think about things logically as opposed to our biases and maybe some of our hatred for certain people. Overall, the direct impact of illegal immigration on house prices is pretty much negligible. There are greater issues, more substantial, more significant influences, such as political matters, economic policies, government in power, but more importantly, supply constraints. Now, this is really interesting. Within the context of the rental market, I can start to understand some of this complaint. Naturally, illegal immigration has an impact on the rental market, absolutely. And anyone that suggests otherwise is just pulling your leg. The reality is it does impact the rental prices, and I'll talk to you about that. But it's important to consider the number of renters. According to the EHS, which is the English Housing Survey, approximately 20% of the UK population rent privately, which translates to about 4.6 million households. Now, if we're to estimate that there are around 500,000 illegal immigrants who are renting, then this additional demand on an already struggling property market or rental market will likely have an impact. It will increase competition for rental properties, specifically in high demand areas such as places like London, Birmingham, Manchester. This will drive up rental prices. But I want us to consider the benefits of illegal immigration. Now, many of you might not agree, which is completely fine. This is the purpose of having discussions. Let's look at socially and economically the impact of illegal immigration in this country, because it would be rather disingenuous to suggest that illegal immigrants add nothing to this country, whether it's socially or economically. So let's consider the info. While it is a contentious issue, and we have seen that over the last few weeks, because there is a genuine anger which needs to be addressed by our government, but not addressed in terms of rioting, bigotry, and forcing people to hide or potentially burning down houses, because we're complaining about property prices going up, yet some people are destroying properties. That makes no sense. So from the economic side, illegal immigrants tend to take up low-wage jobs, and this is often in sectors that are affected by labor shortages, such as agriculture, hospitality, construction. These roles realistically are crucial for this ever-buoyant economy and country that we live in. Many of these roles are also less appealing to domestic workers. But the truth is, these industries that they are working in contribute significantly to the growth and GDP of this country. According to the NIESR, which is the National Institute of Economic and Social Research, immigrants, including those without legal status in this country, contribute significantly to the UK economy. They help to keep certain industries competitive, and more importantly, they contribute to consumer spending. Consumer spending has an impact on our economy, on our growth, and our productivity as a nation. Now, many people might disagree with the social contribution because there are talks about how many of them don't integrate into society. But the truth is, listen, why do I want to speak to you if you can barely string together a sentence? What is your concern if I don't speak to you? How does that impact the economy? Because the main arguments that I'm seeing online is illegal immigrants are coming and taking money out of the economy, and this is money that could go towards a national or could go towards a citizen. So why is there a lot of complaints about they come into our country, they don't speak the language? But again, if you look at the data, many of them do work. Many of them do contribute. But what genuinely makes the UK an incredible nation should be its diversity, should be welcoming other people into the country and learning and taking something and giving back. That's what a thriving nation is. Now, fiscally, it's difficult to quantify the exact amount of fiscal contribution made by illegal immigrants due to the nature of their undocumented status. But there is evidence to suggest that taxes in many cases are paid indirectly by many illegal immigrants. That could be through VAT, which is value-added taxes on purchases, and in some cases even on payroll if they are employed informally. This means they contribute to the public finance. To simply run around and suggest that immigrants only take as opposed to give is very much incorrect. Many people run around, immigrants are utilizing all the benefits and utilizing all the opportunities, when in reality, a vast majority of illegal immigration have very limited access to public services. Some people will argue that illegal immigration is what's driving the UK property crisis. I don't believe that's the case. As a property investor myself, I can categorically tell you that the one issue that's affecting property in this country is the lack of supply. It's easy to suggest that if the immigrants didn't come into the country, there will be more homes available. But that doesn't solve the issue. That's putting a plaster on a wound. The real issue is the government need to build, and the government need to allow those who can build to build without having to jump through so many hoops. Because as a developer myself, it makes it very difficult to bring new homes to the market, which will lessen the constraint and lessen the burden that people are experiencing right now. We've got to be realistic. The primary drivers for the housing issues that we have in this country is family formation, economic growth, government housing policy. But I also want to be fair in this, that because we are already in a very tight situation with regards to the shortage of houses and the inability for the government to hit their house building targets, even a small increase in demand can strain an already tight market. For instance, in high demand areas like London, even a 1% increase in the population will have a noticeable impact on prices and availability. So is it the illegal immigrants that's causing the housing crisis? Well, the answer is no. Do they play a part in rental prices? The answer is yes. How do we fix this issue? There are two schools of thought. Some people will say, get rid of the illegal immigrants, get them out of our country. But saner minds would say, let's petition our government to build new homes and hit the targets. Let's petition our government to remove the red tape and bureaucracy associated with building properties. It took me 3 years to gain planning permission to bring 5 properties on the market, which will lessen the blow or lessen the financial constraints or lessen the house prices in a specific area. Developers who can build risk money, risk funds, risk time, and in that period of time, house prices are going up and rental prices are going up. So next time you want to go out on the street and campaign and you want to riot, you should direct your energy at the government. You should hold the banks accountable. You should speak to them to say, build more houses, reduce your affordability criteria, lend more money, remove the bureaucracy, and allow us to get more properties on the market. Illegal immigration is not the reason for the housing crisis in the UK. You've been fooled. Realistically, I think the truth lies somewhere in the middle, but it's always important to consider the greater, broader context, the economic context, the governmental context, before you blame illegal immigrants for a housing crisis that we've been going through for many decades. Hey guys, if you're getting value from this video, let me hear your thoughts in the comment section below.